Hello humans! It is once again that time where I tell you everything I got up to in the previous year. 2020 was honestly pretty shit for everybody. A lot of things happened, most notably the coronavirus and the Black Lives Matter protests, and a lot happened in my personal life as well, so let's get into it. In January, I was actually doing pretty good. For the first time in my life, I had a real close-knit group of friends through my local D&D group. We all cared about each other, we all met every single week, and it was pretty great. I started dating one of the members, and I had a lot of good plans for what I was going to accomplish in the new year. And then February hit, and a lot of things happened at once. First, my new partner said something extremely ableist to me about how, oh, you shouldn't be on the medications that enable you to survive, and obviously that made me fucking pissed, but I tried to be civil about it. We had a group mediation, trying to keep things calm and work things out in a mature sort of way, and it went extremely poorly. My partner broke up with me, left the group without saying anything or talking to anybody about it, and that kind of made the whole rest of the group just kind of fall apart. Everybody went their separate ways, and I lost the only real friend group that I had ever had. I was fucking devastated, man. But good things happened in February too, the most important of which being I finally got my new prosthetic that would enable me to farm and hopefully someday move back to a commune, which is the very thing that I've been working on since the accident. I had been fighting 10 months with insurance for it, and I honestly thought that battle was going to kill me. It was ridiculous. I was so depressed. So this was a huge win for me, finally getting this new prosthetic. In addition, I learned that I had dissociative identity disorder, also known as multiple personality disorder, and that was a huge step in the right direction for my mental health because it really enabled me to figure out and work through a lot of things that I hadn't even previously been aware of. I also bought My Chemical Romance tickets with my best friend Michaela, and we were very excited to going to see them later in the year. And despite basically losing all of my friends through the fight, I made a new friend. And then came March. As we all know, March is when the coronavirus got big in the US and we all had to start quarantine. In all honesty, my life did not change that much. Beforehand, I really just left the house to go to the doctor's office, and that was it. The only thing that really changed for me was I started talking to my new friend that I met in February online, and we made a new D&D group. I really hoped that this new group was going to be as close-knit and friendly as the other one, but I quickly learned that that was not going to be the case. 3 of the members had major issues with each other. Everybody was sleeping with everybody. It was kind of a recipe for disaster. But hey, I had no other local friends. It was really hard to find other queer people in my area, so I just decided to stick with it. But hey, there's no other queer people in my area. Actually, my area kinda sucks. Why don't I just move? So I started making plans to move to Portland with my best friend Michaela and a couple of other cripples that I met on the CripplePunk Discord server. The CripplePunk Discord server was a server that I created with one of my friends who is unfortunately no longer with us. It was very important to me when I was going through a very hard time in my life where I didn't really know any other disabled people. But this server was really quickly becoming discoursey and drama-filled, and I did not like that. In April, my ex started a fight with me and Michaela in the CripplePunk's Discord server. We had changed a rule saying that image descriptions for visually impaired people were no longer mandatory because it was starting fights. We said, just do your best. Try to write image descriptions, but if you can't, we're not going to kick you out for it. I think that seems fair. Do you think that seems fair? But my ex did not think that was fair. In fact, they thought that was ableist and talking over visually impaired people, despite me and Michaela making the rule together and Michaela being visually impaired. So that started a fight in the whole ass server. The members had always been pretty accusatory and discoursey, especially towards the mods, and that was not great for my mental health. I don't know how many people realize that mods and admins are actually people. It's shocking, I know. So after 2 years, I stepped down as admin and I started to spiral. While previously I had been doing really good with my mental health, figuring out the DID stuff, I kind of stopped. I lost communication with my alters. I no longer was having breakthroughs with what was wrong with me, and soon I was just as depressed as I'd been beforehand. And to kind of counter that, I started making a mental health journal. In May, something amazing happened, fucking finally. I was approached by a Hollywood talent agent off of TikTok, and I started doing auditions for film and TV, which was very exciting, despite me not really knowing how to act, having never acted before. And I started thinking, hey, maybe instead of moving to Portland, I should just move to LA. So I started making plans to move with Michaela and one of the members of my new D&D group. We actually started dating, and I also started thinking about maybe working in animation, maybe writing an animated TV show. In June, I decided to push myself even further to prepare for my big plans. As I mentioned before, I had mostly been bedbound and housebound up to this point. I really only left the house to go to doctor's appointments, and I didn't want that to be the rest of my life. I wanted to farm. I wanted to move back to a commune eventually. So as a form of physical therapy, I started working on a farm 1 day a week for a couple of hours, which doesn't seem like much, but it was really huge for me. It was a big deal. I had wanted to do this for a long time. It's the whole thing that I've been working towards since the accident, with learning how to walk and everything. And I thought maybe this form of physical therapy will help my body get better. Maybe the pain will go down. Maybe I'll get less dizzy. But of course, that didn't happen. It actually made those things worse. But I decided to follow my dreams and stick with it for as long as I could. In July, the inevitable happened, and my new D&D group broke up. I was immensely glad to be away from those people. The drama was just kind of too much. I also broke up with my partner, and we canceled our plans to move to LA together. I decided to start fresh by switching therapists, making some new friends, and leaving the CryptoPunks Discord server altogether. In August, my pain started spiking. It had always been really bad, but now I was actually waking up my neighbors because I was literally screaming at night. And my pain doctor told me that he didn't really have any other options for me, and the only thing that he could think of was that I should go to a doctor in Washington, D.C., which was a 6-hour drive away from my city. So before I could go there, I had to have a lot of tests done at my local hospital. I was admitted. It was a bad time. I also started making stickers to help with finances and started taking acting classes at the request of my agent so I could do better at auditions. I also was put on mood stabilizers by my psychiatrist because on top of everything else, we suspect I'm bipolar, and the mood stabilizers actually really helped my mood. They just had some bad side effects. In September, I turned 22. I'm like a real adult. I'm old now. Don't like that. I also don't like that my pain was getting worse and worse, and the doctor that I'd been in contact with in DC was not getting my test results. I had done everything that he'd asked me to do. I'd sent it to him multiple times, and he just couldn't fucking find it and was refusing to give me an appointment. I didn't know what else to do. I'd actually been in contact with this guy for over a year, and he'd fucking dropped me. So I decided to get in the car, drive 6 hours to DC, and try to bother him at his office. That didn't work, so I went to the ER, and I finally got an appointment with this guy. He kinda yelled at me, was like, "This isn't an emergency. I'm sorry you're screaming at night, but I don't care. Quality of life is not important to my patients." But he also told me that he could give me surgery to, first of all, remove some neuromas that I had, second of all, rewire my nerves, and third, maybe remove some scar tissue that could be contributing to my pain. So that was awesome. Surgery sounds good. Surgery sounds like a good solution. But of course, in order to do that, we needed even more tests. He also mentioned, all casual-like, that I might have CRPS. complex regional pain syndrome, also called the suicide disease. That's the very thing that my best friend died from, and he was just saying, oh, you might have this, without really elaborating at all. So that was pretty shitty, combined with everything else his office was doing. Honestly, fuck that guy. So I contacted my dead best friend's mother and was like, hey, I might have CRPS. What do you think I should do? And she recommended the Sparrow Clinic in Arkansas. And the only problem was that it is $50,000. I currently have a GoFundMe set up for that. It's in the description. So if you would like to donate to help me get to the Sparrow Clinic, I am diagnosed with CRPS now, by the way. That would be amazing. I would love to go there and hopefully get this pain controlled. In October, I told my current pain doctor everything that had happened in DC, and he dropped 3 bombs on me. First off, he had previously told me that I was allowed to increase my oxycodone, which is an opioid, and that's kind of a big deal. And then he went back on that and said that he'd never said that, and that I had broke contract by doing that, which is a big no-no. That can get you kicked off opioids and pain medication forever. So that was extremely terrifying. He also said that he didn't know what else to do and that he was going to kick me out of his office after I had surgery, which I can't go all the way up to DC for pain management, which is what he expected me to do. First of all, I don't even think they can prescribe out of state. If they can, it's super complicated. Second of all, like, that's 6 hours away from me. I don't have a car. We have to rent a car every time we go out there. It was ridiculous. Third, he told me, oh, they told you might have CRPS? Yeah, we've known that you had CRPS for ages. Like, what? You just knew that? And didn't tell me? What the fuck? So that was one of the more traumatizing doctor's appointments I've ever been to. And to top it all off, in October, my shitty ex contacted me and Michaela again. I don't know why. And they just wanted to gaslight us and condescend to us some more. And that made me feel really bad because this was a person who I had trusted, who was in my community, who was disabled, and was supposed to be my ally. And they were treating us just as terribly as ableds did. So that just really made me distrust the whole community. And to this day, I have a lot of trouble making friends online because they have a lot of sway in the community and I don't know who they've talked to about the whole rule change in the Cripple Punk server, what facts they've twisted to people, and it's just a bad situation. But in October, I did finish my first mental health journal, which was a huge deal for me because I don't usually finish the things that I start, and this particular thing had really helped me a lot. It had helped me figure out a lot of mental health stuff. And I was just really proud of myself. I am doing a tour of this journal. The first episode is already up if you would like to check that out. The link will be in the description and more will be coming, so stay tuned for that. In November, I had to go, you guessed it, back to DC, 6-hour drive, to have an MRI and an ultrasound because nobody could do it in my city. The tests themselves went fine, but the issue was the doctor took almost a month to call me back with the results and with more information about surgery, despite me calling his office basically every single day. Like, what the fuck, my dude? How incompetent are you? Not knowing what else to do, I put myself back on some old medications that thankfully were enough to help stop the screaming at night, despite the shitty side effect of extreme depression. In December, I went back to DC for a third time, this time for a nerve block, which apparently they're supposed to sedate me for, but they didn't, even when I asked, and it was extremely painful. Like, I don't know how to describe the levels of pain of somebody stabbing you with a needle that's this long and poking at your nerves individually in your body. Like, I was screaming, I was crying, I couldn't stop shaking, I think I might have had a seizure. Like, actually, it was a bad situation. Like, what the fuck is wrong with this hospital? The moral of 2020 is fuck doctors. Fuck doctors. Fuck this hospital. Like, oh my god. And that was a month ago. And of course, I still haven't heard back about surgery. I feel like we should have been able to schedule this within a few weeks, but it's been fucking months. So if they don't call me back within a week, I am going to give up on it and just go to the Sparrow Clinic in Arkansas, which of course I would have to do anyway, but I kind of wanted to have surgery first because I think that it would make Arkansas work better. But I don't know what else to do. But not to end on a sour note, I am working on something exciting. Me and Michaela are making a D&D campaign. This time we are dungeon mastering, and the group is mostly queer cripples, which is very exciting. I hope it goes better than the last few groups have. And at the request of my acting teacher, I have started writing an autobiography. I don't know if I'm going to finish it. But I do think that it's beneficial for me just to process everything that's happened. As for the bucket list items that I accomplished in 2020, obviously there's not very many. I wanted to move, I wanted to travel, I wanted to see fucking My Chemical Romance, which did not happen. Hopefully next year, once the COVID cases have gone down, keep wearing a mask, you know, then we'll be able to accomplish all the things that we wanted to do this year. Personally, I want to get the pain managed in 2021. That is like the big giant thing that I have to do. I also want to see friends that live far away from me. I want to get better at acting and maybe even get hired. I want to keep working on the autobiography and maybe the animated TV show that I started and probably won't finish, you know? I want to figure out my mental health. That is one of the only things that I did kind of accomplish in 2020, was I learned a lot about myself. I really worked through some things. I know what I need to fix. Hello, Toast. I know what I need to fix. I just don't know how to fix it. So that's a big goal for 2021, is to figure out how to fix all of my many problems. So I hope you enjoyed my recap of 2020. I'm glad that you are all still alive for 2021. Please check out my GoFundMe in the description and have a happy new year. Peace.